A big part of helping people move their career forward is helping them craft a plan to do so. Now, you don't need to know every single step along the way before you create this plan, but you do need to identify some goals and critical milestones so that you can make sure that you're on the right track. My name's Jenn Walker Wall. I'm the founder of Work Wonders Careers, and here we help people land new jobs and thrive at work. And to help you get your new year off to the right start, I want to share with you some of the critical aspects of my own personal planning for the year ahead. If you're familiar with our work at all, you know we're big believers in starting with self-reflection and assessment at the start of any kind of strategic process. For me, I love to take some time in the late fall to really reflect and assess on the progress that I've made this year and what the gaps might be for me to pursue in the year ahead. Now, if you're not the kind of person who, say, starts planning their new year several months in advance, that's totally fine. In fact, it's pretty normal. But what I do want to suggest is that even just a couple of hours early in the year or the quarter, depending on how you like to approach your process, can be so helpful. It can help you figure out what your strengths are, what your wins are, what you can celebrate and be proud of, and also lay the foundation for getting super clear on how best to spend your time and what priorities are going to matter in the year ahead. Your reflection may yield goals, it may yield questions, and all of those are things that we can pursue. And quite frankly, there's no moving ahead strategically without a good sense of what questions we need to answer, what information we need to gather, or where we're focusing our time. Among the many lessons I've learned in the last couple years is that it's not super worthwhile for me to overplan. I used to really want to kind of map out the whole year in advance, and I've actually found that not only can I not predict how things are going to unfold for us, but it's actually much more helpful to have a constrained, shorter period of time for me to focus on specific goals in hand. Once we have a good idea of what it is that we want to pursue or cultivate or achieve in the year ahead, I like to sort of move from a reflection phase to an action stage, and I choose to do that through quarterly planning. If you've struggled with yearly planning in advance, I'd love to suggest trying quarterly planning. I find focusing on 12 weeks at a time gives just enough sense of urgency where I stay really clear and really focused, and at the end of the quarter, I get to really reassess what I want for the next quarter and the quarter after that. So I'm not really tied into things for the whole year, and I can be responsive and flexible. For me, pursuing goals over a year at a time was almost too much time. I would get distracted or things would change and I would feel discouraged that I wasn't making progress or there wasn't space in the process to allow the fact that my priorities had changed. Here's my third tip, which is put yourself back in the driver's seat. So instead of your quarterly goal being land a job, you might choose to frame it as submit 20 applications for target roles, or schedule 3 to 5 coffee chats or informational interviews each month. By transitioning our goal framing from outcomes that we really don't have control over to processes that are strategic and efficient, we put ourselves back in the driver's seat. We'll always be able to know what action to take, stay focused, and evaluate our efforts. This one trick has made all the difference when it comes to feeling motivated and reminding myself that I'm not waiting for things to happen. There's a lot of different ways to move towards our goals, and my job is just to have a process where I show up consistently to make that happen. If you're struggling to identify what the milestones of a strategic and productive process might be, whether it's for your job search or other career goals, you should know that we have milestone guides available for both our job search strategy clients and our career collective members. So if this is something that you need help with, come work with us to make it happen. My next tip is to use a project management tool to manage all the tasks related to your goal. This usually takes me 1 to 2 days a quarter to do both this for myself personally and also for Work Wonders Careers. And what I love about it is it's for a couple days of the month, I really get to be the CEO and have a high level vision and be very strategic. And then for the rest of my time, I can really just work on execution. I don't wonder when things are due. I don't wonder about what's next. I simply log in and look at what past me set up for myself to do that day. If you have another tool that you prefer to Asana, feel free to use that. I like to use Asana. It's what our team uses. It makes it easy to delegate things and communicate effectively. But the goal here is really to not just rely on your brain to keep track of every single step. Use a tool, offload some of that information, and set up some, reminders for yourself, some automation that's going to help keep you going in this process. So once I've gotten clear on on what it is that I want to pursue, I will spend some time brainstorming all of the possible action steps that I may need to take in the process. And then I move it right into Asana, which is my tool of choice, assign dates to it, and get started. Now I want to suggest that you schedule monthly check-ins with yourself, put them right into your Asana, right on your Google Calendar, however you're tracking your time, because what you're going to want to do is evaluate your work at regular, consistent intervals. Instead of just relying on how I'm feeling about my goals at any given moment, I really like to have data that I'm tracking and progress that I'm tracking. And using Asana actually lets me do that. I can see, have I made the progress? Have I checked these tasks off? Are things piling up? Am I behind in any way? And if so, what do we need to adjust to move things forward? At least once a month, I'm looking at those goals, checking in on my progress, and honestly adjusting timelines or goals as necessary based on sort of what has emerged that month. Instead of thinking, wow, I should have made more progress, I can actually reevaluate my expectations for future quarters and be much more gentle and kind to myself, which I think we all deserve. Thanks for listening to me share a little bit about my yearly and quarterly planning process. Now, I'd love to hear from you. And of course, if you have any career-related goals, we'd love to hear from you. So you can head on over to workwonderscareers.com or check the description below for some helpful links to get you started. Do you have any special process for planning for a new year or any special goals you're working towards in the year ahead? I would love to hear them. So leave me a comment below.